Hello, everyone. It's Mary Larson. I'm the Executive Director of the NAMM Foundation, and welcome to this webinar, Career Development and Entrepreneurship Workshop. It's really wonderful to have you join us, and we have a really remarkable panel that's going to be chatting with us and sharing some ideas. Just a reminder, while our chat will remain open for a little while, and we'd love to have you log in with your name and where you're from. It just makes us feel like we are actually connected even in this virtual world. Whenever we do a NAMM webinar, we always need to start with a bit of housekeeping. We operate all of our outreach and our programming under an antitrust requirement from the Federal Trade Commission. Those of you that are still college students, I hope you haven't had to learn about this yet, but it is an important regulation that we take very seriously concerning competitive markets and operating within markets spaces. If you would like further information, there's a lot of fine print on this at namm.org, but it's just our official way that we start off. Also, there's going to be wonderful information provided here, but we do not provide professional development credits. That's just something that we make this informational and inspirational and supportive of you in your career journeys, but just information we wanted to share with you as well. We are delighted to welcome a powerhouse panel and a powerhouse group and a absolutely remarkable collaboration with the College Music Society on this webinar. Their committee that is chaired by Michael Miller, who will be introduced shortly, and we're really grateful for that connection. This program, in partnership with College Music Society, is part of the NAMM Foundation's GenNext program, a passion project that we have for over a decade, seeking to support college music students and students everywhere as they pursue their careers and their life in music. And I was thinking about our notes about this morning. Everyone on this webinar, presenting on this webinar, has achieved a career in a life in music. So I think that we're really all speaking from a place of a real passion for what you want to do in your life, for the journeys that you are on to find your way forward. And part of that is going to be at the NAMM Believe in Music Week in January 18, 2021. We're going to have our GenNext program developed in collaboration with College Music Society. So we're really grateful for that. And we hope we will pop into a chat or along the way, you'll get information about how to pre-register. Registration is free and the training will be priceless. Think of it that way. We should maybe use that as a tagline. Also, once we get rolling here, that we will be using the Q&A feature for you to post questions. So we really hope that you would consider that, and we're going to be interactive as we go along. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your commitment to music. You represent the future of music as a young person or a person developing your career wherever it is in your journey. Also, if you're a teacher, a college teacher, or someone that's nurturing the next generation at every level, this is the world that we're working on, a more musical world for all people. So I'm delighted to introduce a dynamic and vital partner in this effort of Bill Pelto. Bill, it's so great to see you, who is now the Executive Director of the College Music Society, former Dean at the Music School at Appalachian State. Aren't you proud of me that I still know how to say that correctly? And just a remarkable leader in the school, in the field of higher music education. So Bill, I pass it to you.
Thanks so much, Mary. On behalf of the College Music Society, I want to thank you and NAMM and the NAMM Foundation for our growing collaboration. For many years, the College Music Society has followed its mission to develop opportunities for colleagues, students, and other members of the music community to examine pathways for career success, whether inside higher education or outside our ivy-covered walls. Over the past decade, this work has increasingly intersected with NAMM through the NAMM Show, the GenNext program, our NAMM CMS Fellows program, lobbying efforts, and other public events. Our interaction was one of the catalysts for CMS to merge two of its career-oriented committees, Academic Careers and Careers Outside the Academy, into a single co-chaired committee known as the CMS Committee for Career Development and Entrepreneurship. Especially during this most unusual of years, we recognize how vital it is for colleagues, students, and other musicians to discover, to learn, and to network while they navigate the music industry as it is during the pandemic and as they prepare professionally for our eventual emergence into a post-COVID world. So I'm delighted that we can partner with NAMM on this webinar and so many other ventures that enhance the music industry and provide opportunities for our people. In the next weeks, we will link a recording of this webinar on our website, music.org, so please feel free to share it with colleagues. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Michael Miller, Emeritus Faculty Member from Cal Poly Pomona, a leader in the arts for Southern California and the nation, and co-chair of the College Music Society's Committee on Career Development and Entrepreneurship. Michael, welcome.
Thank you, Bill. This is going to be a wonderful set today, and we are welcoming our Gateways Brass Collective. I'd like to thank Mary Lewerson and NAMM, so fantastic, and the NAMM staff in helping us put this together. Dr. Bill Pelto, our CMS president, Dr. Eileen Hayes, who's given us wonderful support. I'd also like to specifically mention Mike Campice at Conn-Selmer and the Gateways Brass Collective, our Conn-Selmer artists. I am a Conn-Selmer clinician as well. And thanks to Conn-Selmer and Mike Campice for their support of the Gateways Brass Collective in this performance today. So I would like to introduce, we have our panelists today, and with our Nancy Berry, my co-chair in the Career Development and Entrepreneurship Committee at CMS, Mary Lewerson, who you already met, David Sears from the Grammy Museum Foundation, and Tony White from Los Angeles Unified School District. And what a fantastic panel. I'm so thrilled to have them on our committee. And so we do have a number of other committee members here, if we can see that slide. We have an extraordinary committee, and we, College Music Society, is committed, as Bill said, to further people's music careers, whether they be faculty members or students. And we want you to know that CMS is an important place for discussions on careers, and we welcome your input. As mentioned earlier, the questions will be in the Q&A. We will take Q&A during the second half of this hour. And for our students out there, please pay close attention when you encounter people who are good at what they do. And that counts for everybody who's here today. So I would like you to intentionally learn something that you can use during this hour today. And so, I would like to welcome our facilitators for the first half hour, who will introduce the Gateways Brass Collective, David Sears and Tony White. Take it away, guys.
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, depending upon which part of the country that you're in. I'm David Sears, and I'm happy to have been asked to co-moderate this short period of time that we're going to have Gateways Brass Collective. Why don't we start by asking each of the members just to introduce themselves, unmute and turn on your cameras, introduce yourselves and tell us who you are.
Good morning, I'm Israel Butler. I'm the department chair at North Carolina Central University and trombonist with the Gateways Brass Collective.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Courtney Jones. I am the assistant professor of trumpet at Florida Atlantic University, as well as the artistic director of jazz and chamber ensembles. And I also am a performer with the Gateways Brass Collective.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Eric Davis. I am the French horn player in the Gateways Brass Collective. I am also the adjunct horn teacher at Hofstra University in Long Island, New York. Welcome, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Richard Antoine White, aka Raw Tuba. I'm the principal tubist of the New Mexico Field, tuba euphonium professor at the University of New Mexico, and a proud member of the Gateways Brass Collective Quintet.
Hello, my name is Herb Smith. I am third trumpet with the Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra, member of the Gateways Brass Collective, and I'm also director of jazz bands at the Rochester Institute of Technology. Glad to be here.
Okay, thanks to all of you. We actually have a video of the group that we like to show everyone, just to kind of give you just a little bit of a hint of what they're all about. Wow,
Yeah, that's
amazing. What a way to start. Since I've been doing all the talking so far, Tony, why don't you ask the first question of these gentlemen?
well. First of all, just want to say good morning to everybody. My name is Tony White, and I'm honored to be here today with everybody on this panel and to say yes, to echo what David just said. What a way to wake up. I listened to it before we even started. So this is my third time listening to it. And every time I hear it, I hear something different. And as I'm more prouder to be an American when I hear that, because it represents the synthesis about how America evolves. So I'm going to start off by asking the question about everybody here on this panel about, being an entrepreneur and being an artist. How do you balance all of that? How do you balance all that? You guys, that seem like you have full teaching loads and you're working, and then you could produce this beautiful music. And I say this to say in the first that used to be the saying was either you taught or you played. Now we see that you're doing it all. And help us clarify about doing it all.
I think it's about being in the business of music. So although I play tuba, I'm not a tubist. I'm in the business of music, and I have to stock my store. So my store has to be stocked. If you go to Walmart and you don't find water, you'd be pretty upset. So I need to know jazz. I need to know classical. So my store is stocked so I can serve the patrons. Ultimately, I think we all have something in common in that we strive for excellence. And I love your statement about the American way, the American pride. And we all have pride, and we all recognize that excellence is at the top of everything we do. And that's what we strive to do. And I think those are some very important principles for what we do.
It's powerful coming from the bottom, the tuba. The foundation. All right.
All base.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I second, what Dr. White suggests. Modern problems require modern solutions, right? And with each day that passes, we have to do what we need to do to stay creative, regardless of what happens, right? So you want to come out of a situation better than you first did when you went into it. And so being versatile and having the diversity, giving all of our expertise, we have to think outside the proverbial box, right, in order to produce a product that is not only influential, but also creative, not only for the masses, but also for our own self-gratification, so that we can build upon what we do and continue to expand on our ideology.
Beautiful.
Outstanding. Yeah, perfect.
The first question you asked was, how do we balance, everything? And my answer to that is, I don't do too good a job on that.
Thanks for being honest. Thanks for being honest.
I don't do too good a job on it. It's very tough for me because nowadays you do have to have a lot of irons, in the fire in order to, as a professional musician, right? It used to be you could just get an orchestra job and you're done, or, play gigs and be done. And now you have to be an arranger. You have to be, you have to also know how to put together tracks and stuff on Pro Tools. You also have to be a mixer. Oh yeah, I have to be good at my instrument too. There's that
right,
also.
Right.
So to me, it's about flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's about flexibility. It's about being able to be flexible, being able to see the different things that are coming your way and able to flex and flow with however you need to go. And then you can kind of, like what we used to call it stacking,
Right.
Stack a gig here, just kind of stack your gigs, so you can make a living, and that's basically what I'm doing now, but it's just like different modes, of music. So yeah, it's working, but it's working me sometimes too.
Great. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with all of what they have said, and what the advantage and the disadvantage is that we're in a position where we are and have been professional musicians as we continue to be. But speaking of the business aspect of it, we come from a certain generation where certain things weren't really discussed, and as we've gotten along in our careers, we're having to manage a lot of these things as adults about recording and everything else, because a lot of times it was about, great, if you played well, you were going to get the job and did all these things. And there's so many other factors now when we're talking about recording. This pandemic has certainly provided a lot of those opportunities in diversifying and learning what we can do to keep our music alive and make it viable for our audiences. And a lot of the younger students, I would encourage you guys while you're in school, because I know you're here, to really be diversified in that sense and explore a lot of options, and use this opportunity to really take advantage of what you have at your disposal. Because when you're out in the real world and out there trying to get the jobs, it's really going to give you an incredible advantage to be as diversified, and building your toolbox in lots of ways is what I found. And I live in New York City. I spent my career as a freelancer, as a French horn player. I've learned to play a lot of different styles on Broadway and orchestras with the brass quintet recordings. So there are a lot of irons in the fire that we do keep going, and it's our passion for music that really kind of helps us get through those times, because it's really what we chose to do.
All right, that's beautiful. Thank you, gentlemen, for answering that question. David, go ahead.
Okay, it's trust me, folks who are in on this webinar. This was not planned, but that question really, and answer really leads right into the question that I had for each of you. My background is, I'm currently quote unquote a music executive, but my background is as a performer and working on the production side and as an educator. Can you provide some advice to college music departments and schools of music on what they should consider doing to help prepare students for a career in music in addition to improving performance, historical, and theoretical skills. Go ahead, Israel.
Since I didn't talk last time, I would say, looking back, I've acquired skills, but I wish I knew ahead of time that I would need them. So having arts leadership in the college music departments, showing different pathways for careers is really important. I know NAMM did a nice presentation for us at the HBCU Band Directors Consortium on career paths. But, you know, I didn't ever think I would be a college teacher. I thought I was gonna, you know, I wanted to play, you know, movie soundtracks because I got to study with those guys, George Roberts and you know, Bruce Paulson and, you know, all the studio guys out in Los Angeles. But I ended up being a college band director. So I wish I had paid more attention to Mark Scatterday and Donald Hunsberger in rehearsal. Some of the stuff started to come back, you know, on the podium. I ended up being a jazz band director, so I really should have paid more attention to what Bill Dobbins was talking about. So when you're in your classes for the students, you don't know what you're going to end up, you know, doing. You know, you think you're going to do something, but it'd be completely different. So really pay attention, take notes for sure, but you know, instead of just saying, okay, you're taking this history class, explain to the students why. And I think they'll be ready to approach that. I definitely would have paid more attention. I have to teach history now. I'm teaching regular, not appreciation, but actual real deal history. And I wish I had paid more attention. So I guess pay attention is my keynote for that.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I think there are thousands of problems in the world, and I know this is outside the box of music, but I think 99% of them can be solved if we were just kind. So be kind in your classroom, be kind in your performance and everyday work ethic, talk to the patrons. More importantly, I think my biggest accomplishment is my job as a professor, because every day I get to go to work and make a difference in a kid's life. And that's what someone did for me. And that's what we have to remember. You're making a difference in the kid's life. So my advice to all the educators is go the distance. So we have this principle in our country where we'll give you level 5 help. And if you don't achieve at level 5, then you're lazy or you're not trying your hardest. But maybe that person needs level 6 and then they're excelling and going. So my advice is keep swinging, go the distance, and turn every stone over.
Yeah. Courtney.
Yeah, man, you know, I think that's a question that a lot of people don't want to ask in the music school, right? And think you just have the theoretical component and only that, you know, as Herb and Israel and Richard had talked about previous, like things are different now. And everyone's trajectory is different. You know, Israel thought he was going to be a performer, and then he ended up being wearing these other hats, you know. And I think for me, you know, even my minor's in business marketing and management, and I didn't think that I would use any of that in my trajectory. But because of that, I think I am here speaking to you guys, because especially when I moved to LA and learning how to get written into a contract versus leaving the payout, right? So that I can receive a residual every year, you know, and learning how to read a contract, learning how to negotiate, learning how to network, learning how to, as Richard said, being kind. You know, you might not be the best player, but if you're cool to be around and you're good hang, more than likely you'll get the gig. And in the process of that, yes, you got to do the work, but not negating the fact that the skills, the theoretical skills that Dr. Butler was talking about, the understanding of how to read a score, the understanding how to play in tune, not just from a lateral or a vertical point of view, but a transversal ideology, so that when you sit down, you can sound good while having fun and understanding, well, all this stuff is components, right? So marketing, networking, knowing how to promote yourself, knowing how to move into a city, not knowing anybody to say, okay, what can I do? How can I get my name out there? What things can I do pro bono so that I can build my network, right? Not saying that everything should be for free, but if no one knows you, then why not play at your local church? Why not offer your services X, Y, and Z so that you can get your name out there and begin to network and begin to build these life networking skills which help facilitate what you went to school for for 4 or 5 years, you know, or 6 years or 7 years or 8 years, so that you have these ideology places of, oh, I can play this style or I can play this, and someone says, hey, you know, let's get this guy. You know, this person is able to do that. So I think, you know, in addition to the foundational components that are needed in the schools, professors need to also look at the real world ideology. Like, what do you know about keeping your lights on, you know, when you move into a new city, right? Or you got to keep food on your table when you move into a new city, and utilizing your gifts that you have. You know, you can give lessons to a high school or middle school or elementary school, or talk about the technological components of these things, or learning how to arrange, or learning how to, you know, expand upon the skill sets that you slap upon in your undergrad, right? And now you're hurting because you don't know what you need to do, versus tapping into that, revisiting those principles, and now it's like, okay, well, I might not be doing this, but I have these things that I'm still in the process of my degree that can help facilitate supplemental support. So that's the real conversation that I think teachers need to definitely have, versus setting these students up for a failed ideology once they graduate and walk across that podium.
That's deep. That's
Yeah.
very. I think.
I think he answered it.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, Tony, your turn.
Oh, Herbert has his. Herbert,
Oh,
has something you want to say? Oh, you just saying,
Yeah,
right?
I just want to say one thing.
Yes, sir.
To me, it's music and.
Yes.
It's music and. It's music, and then whatever that other thing is that helps you propel in music. For me, I was an education major, so it was music and, or it might be music and business. It might be music and, you know, classical and jazz. It's always, there's music and. So you have to find your and to go along with the music, and that helps you to propel to your own personal expression of music. I'm done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
I did agree. It was a thought that I was going to say, and then he said, and forgive me just to add on to that, because I was going to say that you have to make sure that no matter what, that when you do get in those positions, whether it's recording or arranging, that your product is taken care of. It's one thing to get your way onto all of these things, but you also need to make sure that your product is there and ready at that time.
Right. Wow. That is, I mean, very powerful information to share. And I think I want to come together and just say, I think we're at time, we got 6 minutes left now from Dr. Michael Miller. What, as we are in this pandemic, what would you offer to those, the students that are watching, and that also to the teachers that are watching, about what do we need to do next? How do we get ready to prepare for what's next? Israel, you want to start that one?
Sure. You know, what we ended up doing since early March is, you know, recording from home, and for lots of different projects, our own, some external projects. And that was a great tool because the, you know, the recording is the truth box, right? We call it. We all learned a lot about our tendencies. As Courtney and Herb were mixing our tracks, they were like, man, you know, your time is a little weird, or, you know, I'm really hearing your pitch. So, you know, even as professionals, you're still able to learn. So start building your portfolio as a student of recordings, because you're going to need them. You know, the music festivals, you know, this summer, maybe virtual. So have stuff ready to go. Really learn how to record on your own, so that you can have some quality product to do things. To build your website, you can do that for pretty inexpensive, and learn how to market yourself, because there's lots of things you can be doing. You can be teaching online, you can be, you know, taking part of master classes. So just, you know, be prepared for more of this, and be ready for when we finally get back to the stage.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My advice to you would be the 3 C's: choice, chance, and change. Give yourself a chance to have a choice to make the kind of changes you want to see. What we all really want is a chance to make the right choices so that we create the kind of change that's going to put food on the table, excel our career, and do anything that is positive. So choice, chance, and change is my advice.
Beautiful. Anybody else? I think we put it all there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great way of putting it, Richard. It's hard to follow that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I think just my tidbit, you know, I mean, nothing that we're saying is nothing new, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same ideology passed on by generations or mentors that allowed us to get to where we are, and why you're sitting in this you know, panel, you know. And I think during these times of uncertainty, you know, Herb said flexibility. That was my keyword for the year. Trust me on that, right? You know, but when we are put in a place that is not necessarily directly or indirectly, it allows us to see perspective. You know, we may feel some sort of way about things, but let's have a perspective on what the current situation is, and then be grateful through gratitude of how to come out of this situation a better version than where you were when you first went in. So that when we do get out of this, and we will come out of this,
yes,
that we as creative beings who are musicians, because they are dancers and culinary artists and painters and architects and landscape artists and all these visual components, but creative beings as musicians who happen to play a specific instrument or write a specific style of music, that we are a healing component that can help turn this into a better version than what it was when we got into it. So that when we come out of it, we're hungrier, we're ready to show that how important this is when it's removed out of a situation, that we can't take it for granted. So flexibility, as Herb suggests, perspective, gratitude, the 3 C's that Dr. White has said, and, you know, Dr. Butler and Dr. Davis, you know, talking about those components of, you know, building your website, building these creative things, you know, deep down into the resources that you have. Get an EPK, you know, understand what that is. Put your portfolio together so that you have a component of saying, you know what, I didn't just sit for 8 months. Yeah, I might have had my feelings, and yeah, it's okay to feel all of that. I probably felt everything from A to Z. But don't hold on to it. Allow it to filter through you, and if you can do 5% that day, fine. Another 5% the next day, fine. Then by the end of the week, 5 times 7 is what? 35. So that's 35% than what you did 7 days prior. You see what I'm saying? So again, perspective, gratitude, and being flexible, like, you know, Herb has said, so that you can come out of this with something tangible to help add back to the collective.
Awesome. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, and I was just going to add to all of that, on top of these wonderful things that my colleagues are saying, that if you're doing something, please bring the passion to the music. Keep the music going. Keep it alive. You know, I mean, we have all these wonderful technically proficient students out there that sound great, that are playing well. Bring the music to life. You know, it's our job. Take it off the page and tell us something, regardless of what they're doing in the music business. Tell us a story. We want to hear what you're doing. You know, we want to hear that as a listener and as an artist. You know, I encourage all of you guys to continue trying to bring this to life. This is music, and we're really trying to continue something that's been on before us, and we want to continue ahead of us. So really bring the passion to what you're doing in the business in general, no matter what field of that business it is.
And I want to ask one last question, and I'm going to direct it to Israel, but it's to all of you about him, and you guys can check him if he's not right on this. But what is the true mission of the Gateways Brass Collective? You're on the spot, Israel.
No, man, I talk about this all the time. So we were created to serve people that look like us. You know, everyone, you know, we have these established groups that, you know, are fantastic. We love them. We grew up listening to them. But, you know, we didn't have a group that looks like us when we were kids. So that's why we you know, developed this. It's to promote the Gateways Music Festival, which brought us all together. And that festival happens every year at the Eastman School of Music. We're slated to play at Carnegie next year.
Awesome.
And to support and serve historically Black colleges and universities. Now, we do travel and play at other universities, but that was the mission, to serve serve our people first.
Awesome.
That's amazing, and it's great to see folks that look like us doing what it is that you do. Makes us feel like we're not alone.
Excellent.
Want to thank all of you for participating and sharing this really amazing advice and instruction. I've certainly learned a lot. I'm sure my co-moderator Tony has as well.
Yes.
And we hope to be able to be in contact with you beyond today. We're now going to turn it back over to Michael Miller, who is going to take us into the next segment of our our webinar today. Thanks very much, gentlemen. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Thank you for your inspiration, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, David and Tony. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, that was really amazing. Thank you so much. And I think just in your discussion, you touched on so many of the points that in looking at career development and entrepreneurship and preparing students for this, for their careers, keep your store stocked, be kind, make a difference. Flexibility is so key, and and the concept of knowing in advance what's going to be, what you're going to need out there. I love all of those concepts, and thank you so much. I would ask everyone to who has a question to put that in the Q&A panel, and I will direct that towards you. And I would also like to, we haven't, so if our panelists can turn on their videos so we can see that you're ready for a discussion. My co-chair is here with us, Dr. Nancy Berry from Auburn University, and we haven't, and Nancy specializes in the academic careers area of our committee. And Nancy, do you have any response to what we've heard thus far?
Amazing and totally on target. When we just look even pre-COVID, the whole nature of the traditional tenure track professoriate is going away. And that was happening pre-COVID. I mean, what we're seeing is an amazing crop of young musicians. If you look at some of the recent, over the past few years, orchestral auditions, we are seeing really, really young, incredible musicians getting some really, really prime positions in major orchestras. So we look at orchestral positions as well as folks applying for university positions. We have this incredible number of young, smart, talented musicians entering the workforce. And sadly, at the same time that we see more and more incredibly highly qualified people, we see fewer and fewer positions, both in professional orchestras as well as university positions. And again, everything I've heard totally resonates. You've got to be very, very diverse in terms of what you can do, both in terms of content area, like teaching history, for example, as well as performance genres and techniques. You've got to be diligent. You've got to take advantage of every piece of information you can soak up from anybody you encounter. So I just completely agree with everything that's been said. And I'm talking about data from pre-COVID. I hate to think this, but it's probably going to be even a more challenging employment situation post-COVID as orchestras close, universities are dealing with budget issues, things like that. So you've got to be smart, you've got to be strong, you've got to be very, very diverse in what you can do, and you've got to be diligent in being entrepreneurial and really, really learning how to promote yourself, and again, figure out how you keep the lights on. It's sad, but I read some fairly recent statistics, and it's really kind of perhaps not surprising, the whole idea of starting artists, but a very, very high percentage of people who are, their income is at the poverty level are musicians as career, and even people who are at least teaching part-time at the collegiate level. So I know time's limited, so I'll hush, but I just completely am delighted with what's been shared and agree completely. Thank you.
Michael, you're muted.
It happens all the time. So we have a question from Rebecca Miller at Anderson University in South Carolina. She's saying, what resources do you recommend for students seeking to better their entrepreneurship skills, especially in traditional and digital marketing? Would someone like to take that?
I'll take it. I can't give them specific resources, but I think kind of a mindset about how those resources can be acquired. You know, on the entrepreneurial skills, I think that there's an opportunity in the School of Music when kids come, students, young adults, come to the School of Music with these remarkable aspirations and these remarkable talents. I think there's an opportunity for the entry-level, freshman-level curriculum to have sort of a generalist or a mindset sort of curriculum that really reinforces where they're coming from. These are digital, are we calling them natives now? I mean, they are coming from a place where they're self-marketing via Instagram and all the places where they're connecting and where they're creating their identities. So, and I have the good fortune of serving as a professor of practice at the University of South Carolina in my second year, and work with the first year class of music majors that are coming through with Dean Taylor Harding there. And it's just fascinating to work with them about the musician's mindset. You know, if they come in as freshmen to a school of music where the demands are great, the expectations are high, the tradition is promoted in terms of the, you know, the excellence, but also from that moment on, what is their role in society? What is their future opportunities where they can shape themselves going forward? And from that mindset of how they shape themselves, right, then they can, you know, I mean, how did I learn all my digital stuff? A 2-minute video on YouTube. You know, I mean, I'm grabbing all the time now as an older person, right, needing to enter into this world. And I'm grabbing, 10 minutes before a meeting. Well, how do I do that, right? So in other words, I think the tool set surrounds us. The mindset is where the shift, I think, is occurring within the field of music. And I credit, so much of college music societies, leadership of faculty training, this committee, what's happening at conferences, our GenNext, where our 2,800, 3,000 college music kids and faculty are coming to our show, and they will come again in 2022. We'll be together, and we'll be in 2021. So I'm going to be quiet in a minute, but Gateway, put on your calendar, NAMM Show 2022, all right? We want you there. We're all going to be there together. We're all going to remember where we were this year, and we will meet again. So I think it's, if we can nurture the next generation around mindset, the skill set is infinite and it will constantly change. So.
I want to echo what Mary just said too about going, and I think I saw when Bill Pelto about going to the NAMM show. When you go to the NAMM show, or you're part of things that are bigger than you, the inspiration just continues. So going to the NAMM show and being part of events like this here, it just nurtures the soul and it gives you infinite possibilities about what can be and what you want to make it. And I always kind of live by the ethos of that: create the world you want to live in. And you have to have people around you who you trust, and the mentorship and being a part of those experiences. And what I like to say to all of the college professors here is that, when you are working with young people, is that you look at stepping out of your lane. So if you're teaching history, talk about how that history pertains towards composition, and talk about how it pertains towards making a living. So it's not just so self-contained, in one area that they don't see you as that. Because unfortunately, I had professors who didn't talk about making a living or a career and everything else. So I think that's very important that we start embedding that now. And if there's anybody on here who are teaching K through 12, it's the same thing. We need to be able to be those advocates towards our students and our parents and saying, you know what, oh, don't go into music because you're not going to make it. Well, no, you can go into music, but you're going to have to create the world you want to live in, and you can do this. Mm-hmm.
And I just would add one thing about that mindset. Isn't that what everybody really wants to do?
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at what these remarkable gentlemen that shared their ideas, you know, that, you know, this, you know, it was maybe a zigzag path, but you are, you know, you're kind of, you're in the steering wheel, you're running the steering wheel and the gear shift, and you're replacing the motor when you need it. And isn't that, you know, as a creative person, what we all want to do, you know? Right. So, and when we have students coming into the field with that energy, you know, we just have to say, yes, 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 and. Mm-hmm. And with that, I think then they're going to lead the way, because, you know, we want them to take it from here, right? You know, mm-hmm. and the way to the next level.
Yeah.
Courtney, did I see your hand up?
And I almost said amen to that, brother.
Amen.
You know,
you can say it.
You know, and see, the caveat to this is doubt. Right? Mm-hmm. Doubt is always going to rear its ugly head, and you're always going to have that thing that kind of says, well, should I? Well, maybe. But how does a diamond become a diamond, right? It's a lump of coal under amounts of pressure, you know, and then it comes out a very beautiful gem. It's the same process of us as creative beings, musicians who happen to play a specific instrument. So if you can sit down and play E flat 7 sharp 11 chord and kind of like, oh, okay. And then when people play that and they kind of do this. So imagine if you can create that, what else you can do regarding your trajectory, whether it's a show, whether it's a visual aesthetic in comparison to a musical aesthetic, right? Mm-hmm. The sky is the limit, and you're only limited to your own imagination. And that's the thing that what I've seen, you know, I'm very fortunate. And I'm going to just say it. I'm trying to get my words right, because I'll sit here and talk about this all day. But I'm very fortunate to have had mentors that were old school. Now, I'm an old school teacher with a new school feel, all right? Mm-hmm. So they basically said, you want to do this, make it happen. You know, right. You want to get to this point, then make sure you do the work to get to this point. And then when you're there, create your opportunity, so that you can then bring something to the collective versus saying, well, I mean, I sat in the practice room, so I deserve this. No, you don't. No, you don't. There are 10,000 trumpet players in LA. What sets you aside from the other 9,999? Mm-hmm. So when you come from that approach, then you have a better opportunity, and more so, better yet, a fighting chance to produce something that is not only unique, but sets you aside from everything else. They say, wait a minute, who's this person? Let's talk about this. Let's get this person in. Now you have your own trajectory, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I think that you hit it on the head. Like we got to create, and we have to think outside the proverbial box, because if we don't, we're only limited to one's own imagination. That is your only limitation, right? Mm-hmm. So, man, come on now.
Yeah.
Shoot.
David Sears, I saw your hand up.
Thank you, sir. These were really great responses from the committee members and from the ensemble. I just would like to add that I want to go back even further than that. If you don't know that a particular aspect of a particular career exists, there is no way that you can strive to attain success. If you don't know it's there, I mean, those of you who are interested in audio, for example, most people think recording engineering, maybe live audio. There are jobs where there is a job in television called a Pro Tools operator. Mm-hmm. If you don't know that exists, even if you know Pro Tools, you won't know to try to move into that area and establish some contacts, and you can perhaps work making a really good living being a Pro Tools operator or tech job. And so it's really important. I think when Mary mentioned going to the NAMM show, I think it's important to go to the NAMM show. You have to be careful not to be wowed by all the flashing lights and everything, which is what gets me every year when I go. But you have to understand that of the thousands and thousands of people who are there and the thousands of people who are exhibiting there, those are all careers in music.
Yes.
In various areas of music. Mm-hmm. You know, manufacturing, engineering. There's a university in this country that has a contest every year to ask engineers to develop new instruments. Mm-hmm. But if you don't know that exists, then how can you achieve it? And the other thing I'd like to say is, it's great to have a goal, but a goal without a plan is a plan for failure. So make sure if you have a goal that you also have a plan and that you are able to adjust that plan as needed in order to attain that goal.
Yeah.
And thank you also being so positive about the NAMM show. You know, we hope to be in a service. We have a service mindset, and we've developed the GenNext program to serve the field of young people and faculty that are young people seeking careers in music and faculty who are supporting that journey. But I have a bit of a call to action for all of us. I have in my mind, and someday I have to wedge out some time, I would love to do a project, and maybe we could launch this project here together today. Mm-hmm. What we need to do is have a simple trifold brochure that we could carry to every high school guidance counselor in America. It said, mm-hmm. Pursue a career in music. And we need to have pictures of all of you. We need to have quotes, and we need to have the stats, and we need to have the lists of all the careers, which, by the way, are identified by such organizations like Dun and Bradstreet. It's not like we exist in nowhere. We're just not kind of known. So I think that we can do more. And NAMM is, you know, working on our goals and plans. David, thank you for that. How we can set this up so that there's more validation from family. There's more validation from a career counselor that's saying ABC, consider 1, 2, 3, right? Absolutely. That we together are advocating for the life. Look at the collective lives on the screen in music. You know, I started out as a elementary band director and a professional classically trained flutist, and my parents going, what the heck, right? But, you know, I kind of never stopped, right? So I'd really, Bill Pelto, I'm going to say, you know, that's one of the reasons I need to call you, but we need to make 2021 the year that we get this idea in motion. And we support everybody that wants to go forward to have this life and creativity, a long life, a long connection in music throughout our whole lives.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Oh, wow. Thank you. This is so amazing, and we just and we're just about done. If I could throw in one more quick question, I know it's not one that leads to a quick answer, but just I've been so interested in the Gateway's mission of strengthening the presence of African American musicians in classical music. And could one of you maybe talk a little bit more about that? We'd really appreciate your perspective.
So I've been associated with Gateway since I was a freshman at Eastman. I was walking through the halls, and the founder was on faculty at the time, Arminta Adams Hummings Dumasani, and she said, "You're playing this year, you know." I'm like, "Oh, what is this?" So in September, right at the beginning of school, the Eastman community was descended upon by a 100-piece orchestra of people from African heritage, African descent. And it was, you know, amazing experience for me. The first experience playing in a group where people looked like me. I'd always been, you know, the only one in orchestra, starting as young as, you know, in high school and youth orchestra. So the guy in the section sitting next to me ended up giving me my first college teaching job. He became a dean, and I applied, and I was a visiting assistant professor in his slot. And the guys in the group have been you know, tremendous mentors, tremendous connections. I ended up, that's why I ended up moving to New York City, because one of the trumpet players, I started hanging out with him, and I would go visit during spring break and when, you know, any of the breaks. That's what led me to move to New York City to freelance. So it's a big family, a community. It's inspiring to the citizens in the community of Rochester. It's inspiring to the musicians, because they get to go and play high-level music and feel comfortable for a change. And I think they take that back into their own communities.
Part of the mission of the Gateways Festival is also to go into the community and into schools. And our brass quintet went into a city school in Rochester, and literally when we walked in there with our instruments, the kids' mouths were just dropped. Like they couldn't believe what they were saying. At one point, one guy just fell out on the floor. He was just so excited after hearing us play. And it was just amazing the type of impact that it had for this kid to see someone that would look like his brother, his uncle, his father, his grandfather, to be doing something that he had never seen before. So it was really inspiring for us and for them. And this orchestra of all people from African descent, every one of those people is usually the one or the two in their respective groups around the country. Mm-hmm. So for us to come together is just an amazing, amazing sight for us personally, mm-hmm. which then informs how we're playing the music, which then the people that see us feel that too. So it's just a really good project, and it's starting to evolve. We're going to be in Carnegie Hall, and we're going to be going on tour. We're looking at tours to maybe Chicago, Atlanta. So yes, thank you for giving us the platform to talk about that.
Great, thank you. And thank you, Herb. That's great. And Israel, Courtney, I know your hand's up, but we're running a little late, but I'm okay. But
no, yeah, I'm done talking.
Oh, well, I'm just so thankful for everybody's perspective today. That you know, I know that people who are paying attention, and that was brought up. The people who are paying attention have learned something today. Thank you all. Thank you, Gateways. Thank you, Consumer, for your sponsorship. Thank you for our committee, and back over to Bill Pelto for a wrap up. Thank you so much, folks.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, colleagues. Such a great panel. This is, to me, just emblematic of the relationship that the College Music Society and NAMM have developed over this last decade. The opportunity to talk about fantastic music making, opportunities, different pathways, social justice, making the world a better place, addressing the concerns of young people in our communities who will be the future of music. You sort of can't ask for a better packaging of all of those things that we care about so much as musicians. So thank you to Michael and to Nancy and the committee, to our colleagues on the panel. Such brilliant comments and brilliant music making. And to Mary and colleagues at NAMM, I want to thank you all. I posted in the chat to panelists that if I were to answer the question of what should our music programs do to help our students with their careers, I said every student should go to the NAMM show at least once. And if I were to send them there, I would say, and you need to find 3 people who do something that you already know something about and would want to do in your life, and find 3 people who do things that you've never heard of before, who suddenly pique your interest about what's possible in the music industry. And so maybe that's a takeaway to students as you're leaving today, to think about what have you learned today that you did not know about, and what avenues and pathways do you think you need to investigate, because there's a niche for you out there in the music world, whether it's in the academy, outside the academy, manufacturing, music, performance, engineering, recording, you name it, it's all out there in such a huge industry. So again, thank you, Michael. Thank you, colleagues. We will be posting this, so this will be available for people to be able to review and share with colleagues. So I guess I will sign off and wish everyone a fantastic weekend and holiday season coming up.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays. Happy
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bill, Michael, and what an amazing panel. This is definitely a webinar none of us wanted to end. We could continue this on and on and on, but in respect of everyone's time, I just want to remind folks to save the date. Upcoming December 17th, 3 p.m., we'll have a great NAMM Foundation holiday celebration featuring black violin, a student mariachi group from Texas that's just phenomenal, the Powerhouse Brass Ensemble from Pritchard Music Academy, and in general, a musical holiday merriment to be revealed on that event. Don't miss it. And as we've all been talking about, please don't miss Believe in Music Week between January 18th, starting January 18th, tons of content for college music students, faculty, music educators. It's all free. Dozens and dozens of relevant for professional development credit content sessions, and just lots of musical performances. It's the best we can do in these times, and we're excited that it could be something even greater in some ways. So we look forward to seeing you all there. I think Bethany has posted in the chat the link. Don't miss it, and sign up for the NAMM Foundation news so you don't miss any of this information as it's coming across the transom in the next couple of weeks. We look forward to seeing you all again. And again, thanks so much, guys. This was just a great panel. Really appreciate it. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.
Be well.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric, and NAMM team, all of you. Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas.
Be safe. Be strong. Thanks. Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.
This was so good. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yay.
Yes. Thank you.